at the end of the day, you don't really need too many extra actions. If you need to micro below the diamond level, there's some basic things, like you can't run into the banelings. You can't go up a ramp into siege tanks. But at the same time, like, there are few things
one way or another, you got
that
this.
won't be solved by throwing more Marines at the problem. So the goal, I'm not going to be super strict. I'm gonna explain if I go over why I went over that 60 APM count, and what moments I thought were important. Because a lot of people look at micro as high APM. No, 80 to 90, it's like an iceberg. You see the top of it, and that's the splits and the stims and the target fire.
You must
But
construct
90% of the
additional
iceberg
survivors.
that you don't see during a cast or something is just making sure you're building 40 Marines a minute, another 15 SCVs a minute, another half a dozen depots and other buildings. That's already 100 right there when it comes to, like, Clem playing. So, but I think the iceberg is probably by far the best analogy. So, all right, we're up against Protoss. I'm gonna be scouting on 17. I think is a good, like, maybe a little bit earlier. But what am I looking for when I'm scouting? All right, does he have a gateway at his base? Is he expanding? Does he have 2 gases? Where are his pylons? I'm not gonna get too complicated. The only concern I'll have is if the gateway is building early on here. I'm going to build a Marine first. We see. I'm gonna determine whether you know what? I think we're just gonna expand on. He may be AFK. All right. Well, no reason. Yeah, it looks like he is indeed AFK. No, he should have had enough energy for Chrono Boost. No. It's a fake. It's a fake. You know how? Well, 1, he killed my SCV. 2, he should have had enough energy for Chrono. Like, if he was AFK, he wouldn't have had. He would have had more energy. So, there is probably a gateway out there somewhere, maybe 2, because he didn't have gas. So we're building a bunker.
What's going on?
I'm gonna send another SCV out
Your add-on is all done.
just around the nearby area. Gonna get that second gas, because we're gonna be stuck on... That's a conspicuous probe. It came from this side here. Is he in it? Is that... That feels like bait right there. So we gotta be pretty quick if he has zealots. Looks like he's gonna try to build some cannons. Yep. Cannons. And so the answer here is Cyclone, by the way. We're gonna move these Marines around. They should be able to hit from the high ground here.
CC upgraded, but at what cost?
So the Cyclone can outrange the cannons. It's gonna take a moment, but I do have high ground vision on these. Make sure we target the cannon here. Gonna pop back into the bunker in a moment. Once he doesn't have high ground vision anymore, I can just hit whatever until another zealot comes up. We're gonna back off and hold position out of range of the cannons. Gonna have these guys repair. So, yeah, where were the gateways is my question. They were quite far away. There's a chance they were in this area here, but I think they might have been further out. Oh. Wait, was he actually walking through or just going around? Well, that makes sense. So on this map, you do have to go around, though you can potentially mine through the mineral wall if you have multiple probes, but yeah. You sly dog. Well, we failed. 64 atoms. A little bit of fancy micro. I'm going to raise the limit because it seems like we're facing gold-ish. Honestly, I think everything that applies to bronze can also apply to gold. Like bronze, silver, gold.
A new subscriber has been acquired.
No offense. Okay, some offense. All the same. Hard for me to tell. And I, as a ranked roulette finalist, and as one of the only people who's been even close to beating Cyril in anything, bronze to gold is... The target is 60. No, it's 69 now. I've altered the deal. But yeah. What league should you be in if you have over 150 APM? Probably Legends. I think the bare minimum number for what I think is probably the best target for most players is Diamond. In Diamond, you can get there with 100. If you're Zerg, it's more like 125 just because of the very nature of Zerg and how literally building units takes more APM than, say, building Marines. But the actual effective actions are similar. So... But 150 could get you to Masters. It really depends. Everything depends at that stage. I think Diamond, like higher Diamond in Masters, is where you have to at least have something resembling a brain. A lot of people think of this as a strategy game, but it's a real-time strategy game. And the real-time is 2/3 of it, and it comes first. If you do that, then maybe you get to the strategy portion.
Again.
But right now, we're focused on that real-time aspect. So. I like to hotkey my SCV that scouts and the one that builds, just to make it easier to jump to them if I need to. I usually just put the building SCV on 2, scouting SCV on 3. And I do the same a lot of the time with probes, and then it's creep queens really in Zerg, but with probes, since you can have the same probe build everything. All right. 3 in gas. He was Zerg, right? So if I get there, the expansion should start around 1 minute, which means it should be in the orange or yellow by the time I get there. We can go in and see he has a spawning pool. We're just gonna go home now.
More Vespine
I'm gonna
gas.
start with a reactor because he doesn't have a spawning pool done, and I'm not doing Reaper micro. All right, if I was to build a Reaper, it'd be as a cameraman, not as a what am I saying? To do my best Clem impression of making a few Zerglings uncomfortable. All right. And I like to, when I bring the SCV back, usually it comes out at a good timing to just build a bunker. So here, I'm going to be leaving 2 spaces on the right, 3 on the left, or alternatively either side. So what does that do? I will be able to wall this up with a supply depot and an engineering bay. I'm not sitting back here because that just gives away a concave. I think this can be used. So bunkers at the front, not very helpful against Terran. Terran has siege tanks, which are pretty strong. But Zerg, thankfully, do not have siege tanks. Professional tip. So, and if Zerg have siege tanks, something has gone horribly wrong. That is the situation. All right. We're going to get that bunker filled up. Get the orbital at the second base. I'm going to get my second gas. And we'll queue up a couple more here. We're doing a very bare bones. I'm not even doing Hellions. Maybe higher gold, we'll do some Hellions, but I'm just doing a straight up 1-1-1 into 3 racks. So the most important thing
Command
for
center
Terran,
upgrade.
past like getting your early build down, is when to build your production when you add on, because it takes a while to manifest itself. It takes a while to get to the point where you're actually building, right? Like, make sure we have the gas up here. Because you have to finish the building, then there are the add-ons, stuff like that. So, I'm at almost 30 SCVs. You need at least 30 SCVs to really support it. So I'm gonna just wait a moment there. I'm gonna go ahead and get a tech lab for 1 safety banshee. And, alright, 31 SCVs. We've got money in the bank. We're building SCVs. So I'm gonna build barracks 2 and 3.
More supply depots.
And then, as barracks 2 and 3 are on the way, engineering bay. Put the siege tank over here. And make a banshee. Drop mules. Queue up a few more SCVs. And I neglected my depots. We're gonna drop supply. It's not quite as economical as building,
No building there.
or dropping a mule, but dropping supply still saves you some money. And if you're supply blocked, you need it. That's how it is. All right. As we get to 40 SCVs, I'm gonna get the gases at the natural. If you're going mech, usually you get it around 35. But because you need a bit more. Control F1 to select
supply
idle
depots.
workers. Gonna start my +1. I like to hotkey the NG bay on the same key.
Base under attack.
All right. He's got some Ravagers over there, but we're gonna move over to the tech lab. And this is part of why we have the Banshee. All right, let's use the Banshee to just target the Ravagers. And now the most important thing, we're fighting, we're building, we're fighting, we're building. So, and that's what we're doing. While I'm watching this Banshee chase these guys down, I'm gonna shift right click. He might hit it with corrosive bile. We'll see if he can aim. But I have 700 minerals here. So, gonna get a 3rd command center. Gonna drop some more supply because I'm incompetent. We're gonna go ahead and get some more depots. I think past walling off, it's good to just have some depots like in the main, so that way they're not vulnerable. I like to just put them at the back. When you get your 3rd base up, that's when maybe you start walling off again. But, and now we're at, honestly I'm a little late, but usually around 50 SCVs is when you add production. So it evens out to having about 1 barracks for each 10 SCVs, at least for your first 50. So I'm at 50 SCVs, we're going up to 5 barracks, which is your full 3 base production. There are plenty of timings that involve having up to 8 barracks, which we're gonna get there. So, but make sure I queue up combat shield. +1 is finishing, so we're gonna get armory, engineering bay. We're gonna queue up
Upgrade completed.
or shift
forces are just
queue.
over
I like to use the production all in one key and just press tab to get through it. But some players will put it on like 5, 6, 7. It kind of is what's easier. That's how I started playing, but I find there is a little bit more. There's a bit more of a learning curve having it all on one hotkey, but
Research
I
is
find
done.
it easier
Your
than
forces are
splitting the production to different keys and taking up 3 control groups just to build things. All right, so he's been quiet a while. We're 7.5 minutes in. I'm about to take my 3rd. So what is he up to? I'm just gonna scan. He's got a spire. There already Mutas out. So we're gonna have 1 zoning turret, and then 2 mineral line turrets. I'm making sure to put it near the command center as opposed to the mineral line,
Add-on
so
finished
that
up.
way the SCVs don't get
CC
too
upgrade
dumb
done.
most of the time. The closer you put it to the mineral line, the more likely it is that they'll get dumb. I mean, it's not a guarantee, but they have a tendency to do that, yeah. All right, he's got Mutas.
More supply depots.
We're gonna... More supply depots. I'm gonna go take my third, which you might be like, oh no, he's got Mutas, that's scary. Yeah, the best defense is a good offense. So, unsiege. Gonna go get this guy. And control F1. I'm gonna get a bunker over there. I rebound bunker to the Q key as well. Oh no, that SCV is stuck. I kill it. So here come the Mutas. That means they're on this side of the map. So
Still in the game? Nice.
I am going to rally my Marines to the mineral line. The missile turrets doing what missile turrets do best. Let's scan ahead. His units are here. Let's siege up the tank. Yeah, the missile turret's still going to work. We'll repair. Alright. Auto repair activated. You can also use Alt-R instead of right-clicking. Make sure I have my upgrades before I start the attack. And then, is there anything to worry about? We stim, and we're fighting, we're building. We're fighting and building. Fighting and building. Fab. Alright. So fab right now. That was not very nice, but... I think we might have been a bit high on the APM there. No, 60. Like I said.
Your dedication will be
But
rewarded.
fighting and building.
Very fab.
So fat. But you can build a perfectly solid army. Just stay fab. Or FUB. FUB is even better. Fighting, upgrades, building. FUBs. Fighting, upgrade, building SCVs. Fighting, upgrade, building... In that, FUBs with 2 S's. Fighting, upgrade, building SCV supply depots. I guess SCVs and supply depots go together, but... Get your FUBs. Alright. Honestly, fighting should probably be last, but that doesn't make for a cool acronym. I think it's important to remember what to do after you're fighting or while you're fighting just as much. Because remember that real-time aspect. And we do have this convenient graphic here as well for the order. But Upula is not as catchy. Believe it or not. Alright. TVT.
Oh, here we go again.
So, while not a loved matchup by most, is also very important to have a handle on. Because if you are in the meta leagues, it is the majority of games you will play. Because other fellow intellectuals also pick Terran at a significant rate higher than that of Zerg or Protoss. So, statistically, you'll find each other.
You must
This
construct
button
additional
will
supply
show
depots.
your opponent's race. If they're random, it will show random, just FYI. So it isn't like a cheat, but... But I'm glad I could help him out. But a lot of it, honestly, it was like 2 years before I knew that.
Find one.
That was several thousand games in. That button has existed since SC2 was released, but I did not know. I didn't play any team games for quite a while. Alright, so we're going with 2 gas. I've debated having like a set build for stuff like this. I'm not a big fan of always having, like, I think it's important to have a baseline, but I also think trying to copy paste an exact build order without understanding why is the reason why so many players will end up asking, like, how do I counter X, Y, or Z? As opposed to asking, like, how do I improve
Better than ever.
my own X, Y, or Z? Because it always feels like when you have a build and something beats it, you might just, like, maybe it's just something that beats that build, and then you're left without the critical thinking to really figure it out. So I'm pulling off of one of the gas here to get 16 SCVs, and then we'll go back into it. I'm gonna expand on the high ground because I don't know what he's up to. Yeah, I guess there is some value. You could do one build and get your way to pretty high up for sure, but that's not exactly why we're here. So he had a reactor, which means either he's just building Marines or it's going to be reactor Reapers, which I'm going to sneak my Reaper out now. So this map, you can't get in here because of this wall. I'm actually shift queuing via this little Reaper cliff. So convenient. Into the main base. And I'm fully expecting to lose the Reaper, but the idea is I'll get the info on what he's up to. I got one Cyclone, which is solid baseline defense. Gonna get another depot out in that corner. So he doesn't have this base.
Add-on complete.
He has an engineering bay. Alright. An expansion. So he has a lot of
Your add-on is
barracks.
all done.
Okay. Well, now we know what we're dealing with here. I'm gonna build siege tanks. Alright. And in fact, I could go down and take the gold base and defend it with siege tanks. I think for the sake of... that's just going to end up being a third. I think for the sake of simplicity, we're just going to take the natural here.
CC upgraded, but at what cost?
Though, it's definitely a debate whether you want to take the gold. Especially when you know you're going to have siege tanks. And he's not, because he doesn't even have a factory. He's just building a bunch of Marines. You also have to be careful, though. Marines are very strong. He gets enough of them, and like one siege tank is not going to be enough. We're at 30 SCVs here. I got a Raven as kind of your one-size-fits-all. Probably not that helpful at the moment. But I'm going to send one Marine out on both of the potential attack angles here. We're going to move the starport over after one Raven. Just get a tech lab. I'm going to move the barracks over to the tech lab as well. This is the more complicated part of the game when you're doing a lot of flipping around the add-ons. So, NG Bay, what are we at? 35 SCVs? Really? I like to tie things into the buildings you have and where you are in the game rather than exact supply. So like barracks 2 and 3 are on the way. That's when the NG bays start. Because usually you have a few extra minerals at that time because you haven't yet started production on those extra bases. So we're going for the engineering base.
Add-on is good.
That scan is a bit suspicious. Yep. We're gonna use the anti-armor missile. And he got my Raven, which means I don't have to micro the Raven anymore. I panicked a bit, and I used the select all army hotkey. And that means my scouting Marines, who failed in their task, I might add, because somehow I got caught by surprise there.
You picked that one?
But we're gonna take a third. I want to take it at the gold base, but I'm not going to take the risk of it getting sniped off by a drop or something, so we're just going to build it on the high ground. More siege tank. We're coming up on a supply block here, so I'm just gonna spend all, like, that maybe is a bit much, but I'm just spending the minerals. And I should have already had the gases. It's been a weird game, but I don't think he's doing it again. It's conspicuous there, but I don't, like, I have a Marine in position, so I would be able to see if he's attacking him. And I'm gonna scan. We're gonna split the difference. This should see if he has a gold, because the scan is outside the radius of this animation. So we see 2 starports, 2 factories, no gold base, and here comes some siege tanks. Nah, let's just back off there. Alright, so this is the situation where, alright, bring the tanks forward, or bring the Medivac forward, because air units have more range, or vision range, which allows the siege tanks to fire further. So, barracks 4 and 5. I'm gonna go to 6 because I'm late on it. Getting armory on the way.
Upgrade. Research finished.
We clearly have plenty here.
Auto tracking.
Yeah, and I just finished my 1-1. So, a bit slow on everything, but I'm gonna get a sensor tower
Mineral patch is gone.
along the edge on this side.
CC upgrade done.
So now I've got to decide when I attack, because he didn't have any air units with that last attack, which was a bit odd for someone with 2 starports, right? Just gonna box this up, A click, and then shift click a Marine off in these areas. Huh. That's where all the Marines are there. I'm not gonna stim, because I just lose HP. Gonna spend a moment, make sure I've got everything else set up at home. Fighting, upgrades, building, SCVs. So, fighting, upgrades. There we are. Where's my armory? Oh, wait, +1, building.
Need more minerals.
Gonna get the siege tanks as well.
Yet?
Make sure we have something on the starport. And then
Your research is complete.
SCVs.
You got no minerals.
Yes, sir.
Included with SCVs is supply depots, so make sure we have some of those.
Not enough minerals.
Ooh. He's on the bridge. Okay, so we're gonna be fancy. Right click to get in the Medivacs. And then I'm gonna, so D is the unload key. You press it on the Medivac and they'll unload while moving. And that's how the fancy pros do their fancy micro. Not to be used on frequent occasion, but when it's really needed.
This better be good.
In fact, in that case, it was probably not a good example of when to use it, because siege tanks are not mobile. But that's like for getting into fighting. Upgrades, good. Building.
Build there. That's a no.
And SCVs. Alright. Now we can just do it. I'm gonna try a drop over here. We're fighting, but I'm building. During it, we're gonna scan to see. He's got some siege tanks over there. He's sieging up those tanks, so we're gonna drop on top of them. We know where they are. There you go.
Upgrade complete. I've never seen this screen.
And he went for the repeated all-ins. It was a bit of a sloppy build from me. I didn't get my production up as quickly as I should have. But overall, I think, a pretty decent example. We stayed under the limit of 69, though the opponent also did. Has plenty of Marines. And mostly building more SCVs. We'll see if we can get, actually I played one of every matchup already, but the key, the biggest part is, one, not panicking when an attack comes in. Because 90% of the time, the attack shouldn't be deadly unless something terrible has happened. But a lot of players have a tendency to tunnel vision so hard on the attack, whether they defend it or not, that it's whoever recovers on either side faster
I'm sure it'll be better this
that
time.
usually is in a better spot. Even if you lose 10 SCVs, I guarantee you, Zerg players around this level are not hitting every one of their injects in order to maintain a high level of production behind.
What's going on?
Can't build
So,
there.
what's important
Your
is just
SCVs are on strike
don't
'cause of your poor management.
panic.
SCV ready.
Alright, I'm setting up camera locations. I like to use F2, F3, F4, F5. So you just...
Build
And I'll
supply
adjust them.
depots. Yes, again.
I'll adjust them as we get closer.
With the gear.
As I build a base there, I usually adjust it to be right on top of the base, but...
Bad news. SCV ready.
And we're going to rally SCV number 17 across the map. Remember, we're looking for the hatchery to be orange or yellow. Probably yellow
SCV ready.
at this stage, by the time the SCV gets there.
SCV ready.
Alright, we'll see an overlord here. Yep. That is not reason for panic.
SCV ready.
That is just how
More
it goes.
gas. How many
Gonna
gas
get
is
a
that? 1 out of
reactor,
3?
but I'll have to cancel. So if he has in the yellow a hatchery, I can build on the low ground. If he has no hatchery, then we build on the high ground. He's got a spawning pool done with 2 sets of gas. So this means it's very likely to be a roach all-in.
Go ahead.
There's also banelings on the table here, but
We hear you.
we're just gonna stick
CC
around.
upgrade
I'll
done.
probably lose the SCV, but I want to stick around as long as possible. Gonna get a second
Enemy
gas
is
here.
attacking your SCVs. Add-on complete.
Will do.
So this could be roaches or banelings. My response is the same. We're gonna get a factory as soon as possible.
Rear with the
I'm gonna
gear.
get at least 1 bunker. It's 2 gases. If I have extra minerals here, which I think I will in a moment, maybe I'll get a backup bunker just in case. But if he hasn't, so we saw all the creep, right? So if he hasn't built a roach one yet, then it can only hit so quickly. Like, it can only be here so fast. In fact,
Numbers, boys.
so,
Go ahead. What's up?
in fact, killing an overlord would be a pretty big deal at this stage of the game. I'm just gonna move the marines to where I don't have to micro them anymore. I'm gonna... Sorry, Billy.
SCV ready.
You're the scout.
You want a piece of
I set up this rally point because when you have a reactor, sometimes the marines will go around, like, the front. Which is, for obvious reasons, not ideal if you're potentially dealing with a roach all-in.
scared me.
So, I'm getting a tech lab for siege tanks,
Your
but
CC is now CC.
Coming
Better
through.
command center.
SCV
we're
ready.
gonna see what he's up to here.
Your add-on has been constructed.
Siege
No
tank.
minerals for that. Need
He
more
does have an
minerals.
expansion.
SCV ready.
He's got drones there. I drop 1 mule. I put on my robe and wizard hat, and I cast scan. He does have a lair. That's an infestation pit. So that leaves us in a bit of an odd spot. So, Battlecruiser. Unironically, Battlecruiser. Because if it's Swarm Host or Hive Rush, there's a very small chance that he goes for, like, Neural Parasite on Infestors, but serious doubt there. If he goes Swarm Host, then I'm going to start with a Viking. If he goes Swarm Host or Hive Rush, the Battlecruiser is still very good. And if he does... Well, that's about it. That's about the whole list there. We need to keep a couple Marines on the edge because a big risk is going to be Nidus Swarm Host here. As we take the low ground, the supply depot should finish up. I'm going to go ahead and send the Viking directly across. I don't think he had any more near my base, but we'll see. Third command center, as well as a battlecruiser, which costs as much as a command center.
Good job keeping that money down. Not enough minerals. Are you
I'm gonna scan again. It's a Hive Rush, which means he's already got Hive done. The only real thing he can do with that is rush Ultralisks. Which are scary, but important to note, do not shoot up. So, I'm gonna get this walled off here.
Needs more energy.
Gonna use an engineering bay as part of the wall. Something I'll probably need either way. We did that wrong. You gotta leave just enough space. And that should be a wall. I'm not, don't quote me on that. I'm gonna go ahead. Set up the Viking on a patrol outside the base. Yep, there's the Ultra Cavern. And we jump the Battlecruiser in between the main. We'll see if he has a Spore Crawler. He does, but neither is in position, so I can just hold position there. And we're going to keep building siege tanks. Do a little bit of micro. Battlecruisers, the laser bathtubs are not particularly micro-intensive. There he goes. You know what? You shall not pass. He's just sending the ultras across. And even if he does have the armor upgrade, that doesn't necessarily matter.
Mineral patch is gone, and it's not going.
He's chopping through, but literally my entire job is just survive. And here we are. I'm pretty sure that he did have chitinous plating, actually.
Mineral field.
But he's on 2 bases. I have 3 command centers. It looks dumb, but as long as he doesn't get in with the ultras, that's all that matters. He doesn't even have the chitinous, but it's just ultras are very tanky. Yeah. Oh, he wasn't on 2 bases, of course. Close enough. Let's see. He had 265 APM, which was over 4 times as much, but unfortunately, unable to get much value out of it. Microing your overlords is very hard. Removing the reactor if you saw something. I think that was somewhat inaccurate. I think I was going to end up going reactor either way. The very small chance was if he went literally 12 pool. In that case, these Zerglings would be coming across so quick that the reactor wouldn't even be done. But I think it's more likely what I was thinking was expanding to the low ground. As opposed to the reactor. Sometimes I get the words mixed up because I'm looking at one thing and I'm thinking another. I try not to do that, but I don't even really. So what that means is, since I scouted, he didn't have an expansion. I expanded on the high ground, as opposed to normally you would try to do the low ground if you went hatchery first. It's good to get in the habit of expanding on the low ground when you can. It is more vulnerable, like in TVT especially, also against Protoss, but against Zerg, if they go hatch first, it's very important to kind of put yourself out there and not get bottled up in your base, because then it just feels like you move out and they're gonna swarm you. Alright. Another Zerg.
I'm sure this one will be better.
I'm sure this one will be better.
SCV ready.
And I do think that timing. So if you send out an SCV at about a little after 1 minute on 17 supply, you get there by the time you have to decide on command center location. That's the important part. So in this case, like that was kind of the defining characteristic last game as well.
In the rear.
I'm gonna set it out. We're gonna start at 16. I want to have a little bit more time to react to it.
Bad news.
Also, there are some extra options here on this map, which is a bit more creative.
Big, huh?
Just rally back.
SCV ready.
And, well, we'll see. That is a little late, but
SCV ready.
we're going to go in, see if he has a spawning pool. He does, and he has gas. But it started after, so. Also, we're on Dynasty, which means I just get a gold base. Because my units are ranged and I can build siege tanks, so I can defend that even if he goes roaches.
Your command center?
Which is really the only option for punishing it early.
Yeah. SCV ready.
Add-on finished up. You pick
Get Marines started. We're going to build a factory, but I'm not going to be going Hellions, so we're just going to build it a little further back. And then, now that I have 16 SCVs here, going to get that second gas. We're not doing 3cc builds yet. I don't think it's necessary, and honestly, it's a bit more technical to actually take advantage of. Obviously, players like Clem have no problem maximizing the value of 3cc's, but it is like just setting up your base in a timely manner requires a lot of APM when you go 3cc. And not even in like, hey, I'm trying to keep my APM low, but in a, it's hard to do very well or reliably. Does he get away? No. All right, Billy. Go see what it's like out there.
CC upgrade done. You remember this time? Wow. Add-on is
We're
good
at
to go.
28. SCVs. Almost time to build the extra production. I'm gonna move these Marines down. Well, he's getting away with the Overlord. Gonna get a tech lab. Gonna get one safety Banshee. I'm queuing up SCVs, queuing up Marines. Now, barracks 2 and 3. Let's see what Billy sees. Not too much, but enough.
Your add-on has been constructed.
I don't know what's going on over there. I'm gonna just put a siege tank in a safe enough location. Gonna get the Banshee and more supply depots. Dropping mules when I can. And now with barracks 2 and 3 on the way, but not done. Get the NG base started. Key them in with the command centers.
You must construct
Another siege tank
pillars.
over there. Move the Marines into that bunker. The SCVs managed to wall themselves in. Geniuses. He does have Overlord speed here. Interesting. I'm going to be moving one of these over. Just building a reactor there. We're going to get one. And the target is Stim, of course. I'm going to use the Banshee to scout. Cameraman Banshee. Camera woman.
More gas.
Camera she. And we have the minerals here for barracks 4 and 5 because we're at that 43 worker count. I'm just looking for a third base because if he doesn't have a third base, that's very important info. There's one potential, but I likely am going to go for a scan on the main. Ooh. Ah. He's got... I said that's a 1 because this was the more obvious location. Now we just hold position back there. Brenda, let me go! Okay, well, we're just gonna hold position here then. Banshee is dead.
You want a piece of me, boy?
So we move on with our lives.
Go ahead.
Not everyone lives. I'm gonna get a second tech lab. So 2 tech labs, 3 reactors there. Sometimes you just go 4 reactors. Either way. But
CC upgraded.
I might need some marauders. He went for a later lair, which means it's gonna be a larger ground army. It's not unlikely, but it's less likely to be Mutas. Combat shield, concussive there. And now I'm going to collect some SCVs. We're going to get a few from here.
Upgrade
We're going to grab... we got 16. Why not?
Research complete.
And bring them to the next base here. Got the armory done.
More Vespine gas.
SCV production. I'm just queuing them all up. We're going to get that +2 armor. Make sure this tank is sieged. Get the gases. Depot wall. Totally intentional. That's what I meant.
A mineral field has been depleted.
Now, safety turrets. Making sure I build Marines as well.
Research all done.
Big job, SCV ready.
Can't build there. It's like you never even had.
So now we're working towards
minerals for
just
that.
2-2 and as many units as possible. I'm
Research is
gonna
done.
scan one more
Your
time.
forces are just
He's going hive, which quite a solid build
not
from him.
enough minerals.
So I've got 69 SCVs. Nice. So right now, maybe 4 or 5 more. I'm gonna queue up
got
one
no
more round,
minerals.
and that's
job
it.
keeping that money
Because as you can see, because especially at the gold base, you don't even need this many SCVs really. Those workers stuck. Don't judge.
Ready.
Help me, step bunker.
Not enough minerals.
How long on 2-2? It's going to complete soon. So, we're going to send out a couple Marines, and then it's time to move out. All right, fighting
Mine out of that
upgrades.
cluster.
Not
And
quite
still in the
there.
game?
Have a 4th command center on the way.
Management.
Bit awkward. You can't build it next to this little mineral wall. Should probably mine that. And that's where many of the units are. I don't see any banelings, so I'm not really afraid of
You
that.
must construct additional supply
Now I'm
depots.
afraid.
You took all the minerals from that more supply depots.
All right. I'm gonna split some of the Marines back here.
Upgrades finished at mineral field.
Just box a group of them
Mineral patches
and run away. And then make sure we're getting upgrades, building units here, and Medivacs. Gonna work on the creep.
You're all mined out of that mineral field. Build supply depots. Yes.
Get
Again,
another factory.
You must
is usually a
construct
good
additional
follow-up.
depots.
+2 mech weapons.
You must construct
And then-
additional supply depots.
Getting supply blocked at 165 is one of my favorite pastimes. We're gonna drop some supply there.
Ready for dust off.
Another army. So this army is out here mostly to keep him busy. I'm gonna move the siege tanks up here. We're already moving out. Make sure we're building units. This will be for a planetary. Get a sensor tower, some turrets. We're building. Hit that second tech lab.
Ready for dust off.
Mined out of
Just
that
gonna have
cluster.
some of the Marines
Still
up
in the
there.
game?
Don't need all of them.
A mineral field has been depleted.
We're building.
Add-on complete.
Life here.
And I think since we're maxed out,
Not enough gas.
make sure I
but I'm
get
sure you'll have
this into a planetary. It's time to press the issue here somewhat. Make sure that siege tank is in an okay spot. Oh, he's building lurkers. A little bit of micro back. Run away, Marines! And we gotta really focus on siege tank production because we don't want to have to end up building ghosts. That would be scary. And hard, right? So,
command.
so I'm gonna do the big move here, which is
Not you.
just drop his back over on this side. Instead of having to actually fight, heads up,
Ready for dust
we're just
off.
gonna go around. When the going gets tough, pick up into Medivacs and go somewhere else. As they say.
An upgrade's been completed.
Ready for pickup.
We can stim some of those. And now, the banelings are rolling in. Run away! But it's a pretty nasty position there. Right now, we're just trying to make sure he's struggling. It doesn't have to do terrible, terrible damage here, but it certainly helps.
Supply depots are in short.
194 out of 196. Gonna send out another army.
All mined out of that mineral field.
Make sure we have +3 here. Build another or float another base. Scan forward.
Mineral patch is gone.
In fact, he's using Vipers, makes him an advanced gamer, so. I'm gonna scan to make sure the lurkers are... Alright. Instant forward fighting, upgrades. Well, pretty much maxed out on upgrades. So building. Ooh.
Here's your stop.
Gonna go drop over there. So liberators are a great tool for making it very hard. So I've added a couple liberators in. We're gonna actually build some more starports as well. Ah, did he consume that? He may have. We can just pick up now and drop on over there.
We could use some help here.
So liberators are actually quite hard to deal with if you don't have already like anti-air built in. So
Go ahead.
that's what we're using. We can build planetaries on either side here. Pick up these marines.
Waiting on you. Somebody get me out of this mess.
Might as well drop them at the back.
A mineral
Now
field
what?
has been depleted.
And control F1. I had a bunch of idle workers. I think a base mined out somewhere. I'm not
I'm
sure
all
where.
went to a good cause.
Oh, we got a few tanks.
The enemy is attacking your base.
And another liberator. Healing. He may have another base to the north side. We're gonna go ahead and siege up this liberator in the corner. And the reason we do that, and you'll sometimes see pro players do that, is simply because
CC upgrade done.
that way
You
if you
remember
select
it.
all army, or if they poke it or something, it's not as dangerous. So, it is essentially an anti-select all army sort of move there. Does he have this? So he doesn't really have any other bases here. Okay, good to know. So I guess we just attack north. Do I have build? We're gonna get high sec auto tracking and building armor now too. All right, we'll re-siege that liberator up from the corner there. And then, well, unfortunately, he put the drones on the wrong side, so.
We have you on screen. Out of this mess. All hands to battle.
Which means he's long distance fighting here.
You're all mined out of that one.
We're building. Got
Investing
siege tanks.
gases depleted.
There's some Vipers. Oh.
Waiting on you.
Parasitic bomb could be good here as well. That's Spore Crawler in an awkward spot.
Research complete, but have we learned?
We could use some help here.
So he may have some Banes. We're gonna do a little bit of splitting. But at the end of the day, that's most of his army. Whereas I obviously still have... Oh, nobody. We don't want to talk about that. All right. But his drone count is too low. So eventually, at some point, you may need ghosts. But really, well, he was using Vipers pretty well, which quite impressive. Unironically, like he used Vipers and they didn't all die without doing anything, which puts him ahead of the curve. We completely failed at maintaining the limit there. As when you get up to 200 supply with 8 barracks and 2 factories and multiple starports, it is almost impossible unless you're deliberately neglecting unit production to be that low. So, but that actually is going to wrap up our hour of the low APM challenge, such as it is. This version of it, I'm doubling down on really the fun Dementals, where we're focused entirely on that the real-time aspect. The strategy, especially for Terran, we've been building the same units, Terrans, for the last 26 years. Marines and siege tanks. The medics might fly now, but has it changed much? No, I gotta... So the strategy is more when you build those exact things and where you go with them, rather than some sort of crazy new unit composition or build order or anything like that. So, but I think some solid games, and we got a good spread. Well, we only had one Protoss, I think. And the Protoss did a cannon rush and a proxy zealot. So, an accurate representation of your average Protoss, I think. I'd hopefully you enjoyed. Like and subscribe. And I don't know where this is going to end up if it's on YouTube. I haven't figured it out yet. We might just put some on the second channel till I decide what I want to do. I mean, it already is because you guys are watching the stream. But thank you for watching.